Secret agent man, secret agent man, they're giving you a number and taking away your name. But the voice of truth tells me a different story. Return to sender, address unknown, no such number, no such song.
Okay, greetings everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. I want to remind everybody, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. There is a PayPal link down there for anybody that wants to share some love. Of course, all is appreciated. Be sure to use friends and family. And the StreamYard link is pinned for anybody that wants to join the panel. We're talking about tits out, balls to the wall, good cops, and the insanity. Good cops and the insanity. And they did take away your name and give you a number. And as it relates to that, that's what I'm going to start with tonight. Got a short clip here. Let me get her pulled up. And it says, "This was so funny, I can't stop laughing." But you need to pay attention, folks, because this is what I've been trying to get across to people. The insurance is a scheme, a scam. You're not required to have insurance. Not only are you not required to have insurance, but it's a benefit not to have insurance. Insurance is a false form of an obligation. You take up your obligations in the beginning, knowing that you're paying the debt of another, then you don't need insurance. It's the other guy that should need insurance. Because if you're the one paying it, he needs to be able to pay you back. Right? Pay attention.
How can I help you? So I think there's a mistake on the bill, but maybe you could help me out. We got a bill, and then we realized that you guys didn't have our insurance. So we sent you the insurance, and it looks like the bill went up.
It went up?
Yeah, the first bill we got without the insurance was $600, and then the second one was almost $1,300.
Okay. Yeah, so that first.
So the second one was twice as much. So you pay insurance so you can pay twice as much. Do you understand? Then, if something goes wrong and the insurance can't pull through with everything, you still are left with all the extra obligations that aren't covered by the insurance. This is why I keep trying to tell people it's important to know what you're doing before you do it.
I'm not rich. I just know
How can I help you? So you're not eligible discount that you received?
Yeah, the first bill we got without the insurance was $600, and then the second one was almost $1,300.
Okay. Yeah, so that first invoice you received, that's a discount that you receive if you're uninsured. So you're not eligible for the discount since you are insured.
And this is the insanity that we go through when we try to deal with people that don't understand this simple concept. And they're just doing their job, because their job is to ensure that you are required to have insurance if you want the insurance company to pay for the bill. Whereas if you don't have an insurance company paying for the bill and the bill is only $600, then where is the rest of the bill? Who's paying the rest of that bill? As I've been trying to tell you folks, taxes and insurance are prepaid. They are prepaid upon the entrance into a contract. Contract is the law requiring taxes and insurance for the transfer of property. Insurance in case you don't fulfill your obligation. If you're the patient, what is your obligation other than to pay? And if the obligation to pay is in person and not in yourself, then you are in fact paying the debt of the person. You are paying a debt for somebody else. And it's much cheaper to do so by stepping up to the plate, taking that responsibility, and doing it yourself. So let me remind you, if insurance is prepaid and you've got insurance, when are you paying it? Again, you're paying it in monthly installments, saying that you have insurance for that month. What happens if you don't pay insurance the next month? They cancel you. Why? Because they need you to believe that you won't be covered if you get in an accident. Sorry. Healthcare is one of those provisions of this national constitutional preamble. The welfare and domestic tranquility.
And so the bill was $2,342.14. We billed
$2,342 and some odd cents, and he was paying $600. So that leaves another $1,700 out there. And now that he's got insurance, he's got to pay $1,300, which means the insurance company paid $700. So if the insurance paid $700 and he's now paying $1,300, math may be a little off. I'm just, who's paying it to begin with? Remember again, folks, the individual's name and number identify the record. It is never identifying yourself. It is identifying your person or a person, be it yours or the state's, however you want to put that. The state wouldn't have it without you.
your insurance only paid $1,078.85.
Can I go back to the discount without the insurance?
Here's the insanity. Here's the real insanity. Because like I just explained, if you have to pay insurance every month and you don't pay insurance, what do? They cancel you, right? They say they cancel you. But the policy itself that you initially financed the first month it's a bond and it has a maturity date. So if you go out and you buy an insurance bond, a life insurance bond, and it says it's not going to mature until such and such a date in 2036, and you go in to make a payment in cash, Federal Reserve notes, and they demand that you pay in a foreign currency known as money order or check, then they lack the ability to stand on good faith and fair dealings. See, the good faith and fair dealings, the full faith and credit of the United States rests in those Federal Reserve notes for the common people as a common monetary instrument to pass along that promise to pay. That's all it is. It's a promise to pay. Promise to pay what? A promise to pay a financial responsibility upon incurrence if you are the one obligated to. I want to remind everybody here, the obligor is not identified by name. It is identified by number. Now, if it's the grantor that gives to the grantee and the trustor that gives to the trustee, and the benefactor that gives to the beneficiary, then in like ways, it would be the obligor that gives to the obligee. Now, the trustees have the obligation to fulfill the good faith and fair dealings of that transfer from the obligor to the obligee. They have it all backwards, telling the obligee that they have to pay for the obligor. So, if you pay for the obligor, what you put out comes back. They then have to fulfill their obligation of the obligor to the obligee. Simple contract law. Customer agrees to make payment for products and services so long as it is understood that the credit is given to the customer's account.
No, so you're insured, so you're not eligible for the discount.
If I go cancel my insurance, am I eligible for the discount?
No, sir, because we checked eligibility and you do have access.
No, sir. Because you do have eligibility and you do have the insurance. But if you don't, and that's what this guy's questioning. So if I cancel it and I no longer have insurance, then I get the discount. And that answer is yes, but they won't give you that because they want you to believe that you have to keep paying that insurance every month.
Active coverage for data service.
Oh, I needed to cancel it before I got the service to get the discount.
You're only eligible for the discount if you're uninsured.
Okay, so I'll get cheaper health care if I'm uninsured.
If you're uninsured, you're eligible for the discount, correct?
So a simple form SA-89. It's a Social Security form, SA-49, where anything that needs to or requires the Social Security number has to be requested from Social Security. So if they want the Social Security number down at the emergency room where I get a sales agreement that says that the customer agrees to make the payment so long as the credit is given to the customer's account, and I sign it Benefactor by Benefactor, Keith Little, and then have them, the hospital, fill out an SA form, form SA-89, requesting any necessary funding or material information, data elements from the Social Security, because the individual's name and Social Security number identify the record, then they can go to the record for that obligation. Okay? So when they send me a bill for $17,459 for the immunotherapy, and it says you may owe nothing, and the hospital may appeal, then it's the hospital that has to appeal with Social Security to get their funding. Otherwise, if I have to take upon the obligation of doing their job and being forced to labor through all the research and diligence of making sure the record is correct, then I will get paid. In other words, I will make the payment. Since it's the obligation of the record, but when you do your job, you're going to damn well make sure that I get credit for $17,489 and whatever cents. And I think the way I've done it so far is true and correct because that's the way it's working. I'm not insured. That's their number. That's their person. That's their obligation. That's their creation. That's what they control. I don't have any control over it. You'll have to ask them.
Is this common? Like I pay for insurance and I end up paying more out of pocket because I pay for a premium? That's wild.
No, this is just a new law that passed.
No, this is just a new law. No, that's the way it's always been, folks. That's what I've been screaming about. When I started doing my research on my last case, almost 9 years ago now, yeah, I started realizing it's about the name. The name is hearsay. It relates to a number, and that name and number together don't identify myself. That's what Hitler tried to do with the Jews. He tried tattooing numbers on them so that they could replace the people with a number. They took away your name and gave you a number, and you gladly keep using the number.
It started 2024 AB 716, and the law is if you receive a discount if you're uninsured.
Okay.
So when we first send a invoice to the patient, we bill them as if they're uninsured. If you're insured, unfortunately, you're not eligible for the discount.
Okay, so just if I have the incentive straight here, if I want to pay less for medical care, I should cancel my insurance if my daughter needs life-saving medical care?
Very good question, moms and dads. Who are in their right mind in the modern day Christian society would believe that if they didn't have health care for their children, that these doctors that have taken an oath to cause no harm and to help everybody in need would violate that oath? I don't care if it's to Apollo and the Greek gods. A man is bound by his words according to Christian society. And is that not the society we live in? We live in a Christian society, not a Greek society, correct? Isn't that their obligation to the people, regardless of any other oath?
I'm not sure. I don't know, sir.
It's this.
You should cancel your insurance.
I'm not sure. I don't know, sir. Of course you don't know. You don't know anything but the script because you're just doing your job in this theater of caring for everybody when you don't give one fuck.
Letting you know that discount's only for patients who are uninsured.
Okay, that is special. That is a special law. So there's no way to put that.
No, it's not a special law. It's something that people should start grasping and understanding as a reality. It doesn't have to do with law. It has to do with morals and ethics and the laws and principles of nature. And the principle of nature of man is that he is a caring being. He's also a monster. But it seems as society grows, man seems to think he's more of a caring being than a monster, yet he doesn't know how to express either because he's a beta corporate male doing his job, sucking somebody's patriotic dick. When are you going to start learning how to stand up for yourselves?
Discount onto an insured person. Only the uninsured people get that.
Correct.
You're correct. So who do you think gets the biggest discount if they don't even have an ID? And I'm not going to say that I'm an illegal immigrant because I certainly am not. Hint, hint. More people to convince that you need insurance. I don't know. So let's go on to the next one. And remember, folks, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And there is a StreamYard link pinned down there for anybody who wants to come join the panel and talk about this insanity. Tell me your views. I'm open to them. I'm open to them. I want to know what you say. I'm going to do research with you on what you say. I'm not scared. So let's talk about the good cop and what they think. Get rid of this commercial first. We don't need commercials. But not being monetized, of course, got to put up with them.
Like what I do. I am a marriage counselor.
Where's your marriage counselor license? Where's your education to be a marriage counselor? You like to play the role. You like to act like you are.
A teacher.
Oh, where's your teaching education? Huh? Again, you like to act like you are. You like to play the role.
Let's see. Social worker.
Oh, really? Now you're going to tell me, as a 58-year-old man, I imagine this guy's maybe 28, and he's going to tell me with his limited experience, as he boasts that he's a teacher as well, and a marriage counselor.
Psychologist, psychiatrist.
Oh, no. Let's not talk about the mental health and the physical health. Do you have a license to practice it? You see the narcissistic bullshit? Do you see the Dunning-Kruger? They like to think they know enough to take care of everybody's life in every aspect. And yet they don't know the law.
Psychiatrist. A police officer.
Notice he placed all those others up there in front. Let's hear what he says about police officer.
Medical first responder, firefighter. I mean, we do so
Medical first responder, firefighter.
many things.
We do so many things. Six months of training at a police academy, and they do so many things.
Every night that are outside of putting handcuffs on people and writing tickets. The solving the marital disputes. People don't think about that.
Solving marital disputes. When have you seen any one of these fucking pigs solve a marital dispute? And I urge anyone hit that link and come up and let's talk about it. Particular police officers, lawyers, judges, medical associates, nurses, doctors, interns, residents, all of you. Presidents, monarchs, emperors, popes. When are you going to start talking about the truth? That each and every man has his own authority under God. And no man other than himself should be making choices for him or trying to delude his mind that he must do this or he must do that.
That's something you do every single night, is solve a family problem.
Obviously, the fun and exciting stuff, the crime fighting stuff is what gets on TV. I don't think that somebody would want
Fun and exciting stuff. Do you understand the mentality that drives your own drama seeking? Is these people placating the heroes of the fun and exciting stuff that they play in their life in the game of being a policy enforcer, where everybody gives them all the authority in the world to enforce a policy that somebody else wrote and they don't even fucking read, and let alone if they did, would they comprehend it?
to go and watch me try and track down a dog that's running loose through a neighborhood and taking it out to the pound. But That's what we do. You know, there's a lot of not exciting stuff that we do, but it is in one way.
I had an officer one time. Eddie got loose. Shortly after we had him, we called it in, and a sheriff was just up the street, sheriff's deputy. And I asked him if he'd seen him, and he said no. And then when he took off from his call up the street, it was just like 2 blocks up the street, he come back down here a short while later because he took off from his call and was patrolling the neighborhood, and he saw the dog. So he came back and got me to go out and look for him. So I grabbed the leash and we went out and looked for him. That's the best police interaction I've ever had in my life. And I don't know where it came from, because I certainly never expected it compared to all the other experiences. And what I'm trying to explain to you people is that the overwhelming experience is not fun and exciting. It's not solving marital problems. It's not solving family problems. It's not a first responder as a firefighter or a rescuer, but as a first responder that violates the people because he has this thing that he believes he knows so much about that he can solve this situation right here and right now. But generally, the only way he can solve it is by putting a man in cuffs and handing him over to somebody else to solve the problem that he started. Most generally, because of his delusional accusations. I don't know why any reasonable man in their right mind in a Christian society wouldn't remember Genesis 2:7 during COVID pandemic and say, I will not enforce such a blasphemous law regarding the breath of life that made my man a living soul. And see, folks, I'm not even the Christian.
Another, it's helping people.
I'm used to getting flipped off on a daily basis, or just driving through a neighborhood and have somebody saying, you know, F the police. And that's something that's become pretty normal.
Pretty normal, because your normal behavior isn't of a family counselor. It isn't of a marriage counselor. It isn't of a doctor. It isn't of a firefighter. It is exactly of a police officer, nothing more. And that is to arrest people using a fucking hammer as the tool, and everyone's a goddamn nail. Because you don't know any better, yet you think you do. You would think, as women going into the police force, we would have a propriety of good faith and fair dealings coming from the women who are supposed to be the caregivers themselves. See, it's men's position to protect. It's women's position to be a caregiver. So that when somebody does get in a battle, they can go home and the caregiver gives first aid. She is the first responder. But again, I pose that women don't belong in society in this manner. They don't belong in the police force. They don't belong in the military. World War I and World War II, where we had the Industrial Revolution coming about, and we had to put all these women to work in these factories that men usually had jobs. It emboldened them, envisioned them, gave them visions of grandiosity, of being able to be the king. And now we have transgenderism. Great job, people. Great job in your delusion.
Throughout the day.
Boy, I've been called just about everything from every.
Greetings, Jesse. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Just going over some of the insanity. I got this. The video I just showed it at the beginning was the short on insurance and stuff, and then we've got the good cop here, and then I've got a caught on camera armed citizen doing the job of the police. And then I've got some shorts, and we're just talking about the insanity and why we put up with it. Why is it people like myself can see this and go along this path in life and show everybody that you don't need the ID, you don't need the insurance, you're not required any of it. You're not required to pay taxes. You're not even required to have a social security number yet. Everybody believes that. And I'm the insane one for pointing out the truth. So excuse my rhetoric if I get bold and raunchy with it and straight up disrespectful, but it's just my passion. And I'm tired of other people being disrespectful to themselves. They're willing to walk into this world knowing that somebody is screaming that they're nothing but a Hitler's willing executioners, and then look at him and say, I don't care, I'm just doing my job. Proving the point. And I'm so tired of it.
Racial epithet you can think of to just about every derogatory term.
And feel free to chime in anything you've got anything to say.
And so a lot of times, we're meeting people in crisis when they're at their worst. And so you're going to most times get their worst behavior, the worst things they can say.
You try not to take it.
And so they know this. And instead of being the man that they're supposed to be in that uniform, in good faith and fair dealings with the people of the community, the very ones that they have an obligation to, when holding that obligation to the obligee, yet that's not the way it seems, because they end up escalating everything, even if it's just something minor. And just so you know, all these traffic offenses, folks, you can call and speak to the Department of Justice yourself, and they will tell you in the affirmative, yes, traffic violations are non-arrestable offenses. Civil in nature only. That's why they give you a civil citation.
Personally, that person has their own situation going on. Maybe they didn't want to go to jail on their warrant because their kid's birthday is tomorrow. We're put in a position a lot of times where we've got to make decisions that are going to affect someone's life, and may not affect just one person's life, but may affect several people's lives.
So you're talking about when they...
Not just one person's life, but may affect several people's lives. Yes. It always affects several people's lives. I don't care if it's a student living on his own. It's likely still going to affect his mom and dad, because they're the ones that are going to have to end up paying for the upcharge and the insurance and stuff, because they're the ones probably paying for the shit. Okay. The dad gets arrested, it's gonna affect the whole family, especially if the mother-in-law is living there with them as a disabled retired person or something. It's going to affect a lot of people. Every time they do this shit, it's going to affect several people, and they know that. You should know it too. Every time you sign a document, you should know that is going to affect several people.
When they're clearly probably violating policy in there, we're talking an officer assaulting someone.
Violating policy. See, to them, they think it's their internal policy is policy and that everything else is law. No, they're all just policies. They're all just policies. Like an insurance policy. They're nothing more than contract terms and conditions undertaken for surety.
One type of deal.
I will never just outright say I side with the officer. Do I think that there's bad officers out there? And I think absolutely there are.
And you say bad, I think, I would describe as evil almost.
Yeah, see, that's the only bad there is evil ones. Us dumb motherfuckers that just don't know what the fuck we're doing. We're just cuffing people and handing them over to somebody else to determine whether they actually did violate the law. Sorry. We're not bad officers. We're great officers. We go out there and put our life on the line against these people that are willing to kill us for nothing. Dumb fucks.
You know, or they get good at camouflaging that up. So we have to be better at uncovering it.
No. They get good at covering that up to the people, but they're open with each other. A good cop will stand there and watch the bad cops do bad things. And he thinks just because he didn't do anything and didn't get involved in the bad things, he's a good cop. Bad things only happen because good men refuse to do anything about them. You ignorant fucks.
You know, in any profession, not everyone's going to do the right thing. That's just the reality. And you get some people who just, for whatever reason, are going to do things they know they shouldn't be doing.
But I've got to believe in my heart it's less than 1%.
But I gotta believe in my heart it's less than 1%. So while you sit back and watch 90% of your officers violate people's rights and don't do anything about it because you think they're doing what's right.
Well, we know that that's not the truth.
It can't be the truth.
It's not. I mean, absolutely, it's not the truth. They're all scared of losing their job, and they're in a big fraternal order. So they're not, even if another officer is stepping out of line, they're not going to step in and intervene in any manner that's going to subjugate them to losing their job, being reprimanded. This is not going to happen.
Right, and that's the problem. Everybody believes without knowing. And then when they know, they want to start slinging the slurs at them and telling them to fuck off and fuck the police and shit. And then they wonder where that comes from. It comes from that supposed 1%. It's not 1%. It's all of you. It's 100%. If the good cops believe they're good cops, they will stop the bad cops. How long do you think it's going to happen before the people turn around and start taking it out on the police? It's already started. When are you not going to open your eyes, people? It is your duty to enforce the law. These guys are enforcing policy, and in so doing, they are violating the law. And the only way you can stand up against the tongues that rise up against you in judgment and condemn them is by knowing the language. You have to start learning, people.
In a very noble profession that are acting out in.
This is not a noble profession anymore. I wonder if I asked I wonder if I asked ChatGPT if the police are a noble profession in modern times. I wonder what it'll tell me.
Ways that bring such bad press and legitimately bad press to our profession.
Bad press. No, it's truthful press. Legitimately truthful press. The bad press is all of your fucking lies to the people, saying all the good things you've done, that you're marriage counselors, that you're family counselors, you're psychiatrists and psychologists and firefighters and first responder and medical emergencies. You are liars. You're not trained in any of it. You got 6 months of training at a police academy for military tactics.
Yeah, well, I mean, don't they consider us to be in the middle of a commercial war?
Absolutely. That's what UCC is. In case you guys didn't understand, UCC is known. Uniform Commercial Code is known as Battle of the Forms. Spot on, Jesse.
Well, I have come to discover that the secret is that You know, you only have the rights you bring with you. So if you haven't secured those rights, because everything is about security in this system, you're either bonded or you're insured. And if you're on the public side and you're not covering those insurance policies, then you're not in line with the policy. So
Correct.
you need to learn how to secure your rights and use the UCC and create security agreements so that you have indemnities in place. So when you deal with these officials and they run your credentials, they could see that, you know, your house is in order. And
Right.
that,
You've already been redeemed. You've already paid. See, in their system, the very definition of payment in regards to these bonds means redemption. So if I, as customer, am agreeing to pay for the debtor, I am redeeming the debtor. Leviticus 25, verse 25. Read it.
did you know that there are a few states that when you get arrested that you could surrender your license
In
as
lieu of, yep,
yep
license in lieu of case.
as a bond. Yep. So what I've discovered is that you know, if you get a driver's license, why haven't you created a security agreement with it? Why haven't you activated that security in your best interest? Because if you don't activate it, you haven't securitized it, they're going to securitize it and they're going to hold that beneficial interest and they're going to hold you as the corporate surety.
Right. And this is why it's important to understand that equal station in life. Because when it comes to the license, it's not the license, it's the concept, that understanding that the license has contract terms and conditions. And if you meet those contract terms and conditions on an equal standing, you don't need the license. You have a contract. They're just two different forms of contract. One's a public contract. One is asserting your private right of contract to contract in the private and not in the public.
Yep.
So if they want you to conduct your affairs in the interest of the state and supporting those laws, you can draw up your own contract stating that you will support those laws, but that you're not subject to them unless specifically on the clock doing functions of public office.
You know,
So,
a lot.
and guess what that does? Any one of my brethren that is not on the clock performing the functions of public office and they get pulled over, guess what? I can prove through my own contract that, hey, according to these contract conditions, which are equal station in life according to the statute, says that he's not on the clock. He was just traveling from his home to the grocery store to get some fucking food for his family.
Yeah, because their presumption is you're out doing business on behalf of the state, providing essential services for it.
Yes, personal services. It's called a personal service contract. I agree to provide as customer in this contract my personal services of making payment for the debtor for all products and services, so long as it's understood that credit is given to my account as customer.
Absolutely. So, you know, a lot of people don't know that these licenses or these identifications through the state are security agreements.
They are.
Okay? They are security agreements that have
Just not for your benefit.
Right. Okay, but there's a way to facilitate that license or that bond that's been put in place is for your benefit and to secure your right to do whatever it is that you're doing. But if you don't do those things, and that presumption comes into play where the state is going to step in, they're going to hold that security agreement and they're going to use it for their benefit and privilege and treat you like you're just an usury and that you're using someone else's property. All right. And that you're not following the guidelines that are dictated or stipulated in the contract which you've established and didn't put your terms of agreement in there or securitize anything on your behalf. So they get this, you know, it's like when the cops pull you over, they always try to get the whole pie. I mean, the whole thing. They want to take you to jail. They want to charge you with something. They want to tow your car. They want to get you on bond. I mean, the whole thing. And they don't leave you nothing. So, you know, you have to securitize these things in your best interest, or the state is going to do it in their best interest. So it's imperative that you understand that these things are securities and how to securitize them if you're going to use those, you know, these credentials in order to facilitate whatever it is that you're doing.
Right. And you have to understand the assets are the tangible things that are securitized for debt obligations. So the asset could be the contract that you're writing out itself. Okay. That is the original financing of everything you do, is the contract that you filled out to obtain the asset.
One issue for police agencies is trust and confidence with the community, and looking at ways that we can go from a what some might term a warrior mindset to a guardian mindset. We should be guardian servants is the role of a police officer.
And so as I listen to this officer, I wonder where he's from. He might be from one of those small communities where there is only maybe 1% that's a bad cop. But in the larger metropolitan areas, I guarantee you that does not hold true. Guaranteed. And so I give credit to this man for speaking on the warrior mentality versus the gardening mentality. I agree with him 100%. So moms and dads, in that aspect, instead of fighting the false patriarch, start learning how to garden.
A very memorable, I guess, bad day for me was when I was part of an investigation for a child abuse case, which ended in homicide of that child. And that was hard because the child was the same age as my daughter. So coming home after dealing with that and then seeing my daughter, it was one of those things where you come home and you're just overcome with emotion, seeing my daughter alive. And it was just one of those things where it just hits you when you get home, how good you have it.
Yeah, April 18th, 2011, an officer called for assistance on the south side of the city, saying he'd been shot at. So me and a couple other guys were sent to clear an alleyway. Well, when I got to the alleyway, I could see two people on the ground, and one of them I could immediately see was a police officer, blue. And I ran to the officer. Me and a couple guys just grabbed him, and it turned out it was another officer I'd worked with for a few years, Eric S.W.A.P, and he was shot in the head and the stomach. And even my closeness to that, actually carrying him to the car, I couldn't. I still to this day can't even visualize what it looked like. And so that was pretty tough, and something I still every day deal with. It was that day, and that was April 2011. And yeah, it was still difficult.
Whenever they call, no matter who they are, whether or not we've had a bad encounter with them before, if they call the police, we come. It's the cliche of people are running away from gunfire and we're running towards it, and that's the truth. We're
No. See, they try to portray that all these calls are for guns, or a large majority of them. And again, like the man said earlier, 1%, no, No. Much larger number than that. In this case, no, much smaller. Most of the calls are simple, pathetic Kens and Karens calling about their feelers. Majority of calls are about people's feelers.
There to help, and we're there to protect people. As much as people want to have their own opinions of it, we don't discriminate. If you need
As much as the people want their own opinion of it, we don't discriminate. No, it's not about discriminating, and it is about the people's opinion, you dumb fucks. If you don't start listening to the people and learning the law, yeah, you're going to start getting people that are going to call you. And it's going to seem like an usual call, a Karen calling about her feelers. And you're going to get there, and it's going to be nothing but an ambush. People are getting tired of your narcissism and your Dunning-Kruger shit. You need to start listening to the people. And people, you need to start learning so you can speak up.
help, we're there, and we're going to help in any way we can.
No one should live in fear where they live, you know. So certainly growing up in an area that wasn't always the greatest, you've certainly realized how a few can dominate, you know, for the many, and people can feel really uncomfortable in an area. And so I just wanted to make it so.
And now it's gotten, again, like I said, in modern times, that people are uncomfortable around the police. I know places in my own town that I'm completely comfortable, surrounded by all these fucking criminals. And when the police show up, don't want nothing to do with them because they're 10 times worse than the criminals.
No matter what it was or what side of town it was, you know, on any street, people felt comfortable to go out and walk, live, and however I can help bring that about, that's what I want to do.
Just truly helping someone. That might sound cliche, but it's. I think that's where you get the most satisfaction in this line of work.
My experience has been overwhelmingly the majority of men and women that I'm working.
I got to beg to differ with this guy.
To go out and walk, live, and however I can help.
Just truly helping someone. That might sound cliche, but it's. I think that's where you get the most satisfaction in this line of work.
Don't you think the most satisfaction would be the fun and exciting times? You know, when you're chasing down criminals and shooting them and running them off the road because they're running from you, shooting them in the back. See, the fun and exciting times would be the ones that would be rewarding, right? But no, he claims the boring stuff that he was talking about earlier is the rewarding stuff. Do you see their delusion, folks? I don't care how nice they look with their fucking haircuts and their clown suits and that nice little smile. That nice little smile. Watch this face.
Just truly helping someone.
Yeah. Don't you love it? Such a genuine smile, isn't it, guys? Fucking pathetic.
Overwhelmingly, the majority of men and women that I'm working around truly want to serve, and they want to fill that capacity of being a servant leader.
Servant leader? Is that like sob citizen? Servant leader? As they tell us, we have authority over you while we're serving you?
Yeah, serving you with a warrant, or serving you with a citation, or serving you with a criminal charge.
Yeah, exactly. Spot on.
It's not in service to you, it's to serve you. There's a difference.
Yep, absolutely.
We're here for them, I guess is what I really want our public to know.
I would like to just remind them, I guess, that we're real people and that we don't get in this job for the money.
Yeah, see, we can tell here that they got these all from the same police department. So this is probably one of those small town police departments with maybe 5 to 10 officers, and one of them's bad.
You can tell this is scripted too. They told these people
Oh,
what
yeah.
to say, and they
Oh, yeah.
state the questions, you know, and they probably went over it 3 or 4 times. So I mean, you know, everything in this video is predicated on that premise.
Yep.
Pay's not that great. I guess
Pay's not that great. Again, must be a small town, because here the officers minimum wage or minimum salary for the officers here is like $80,000 a year.
just really like to remind them that we're in this job to do good and that we can't do it without the public's help.
Can't do it without the public's help. Fuck the police. Why do you think the public is no longer willing to help the police? Because what you pose to be doing without the help of the public, you are in fact violating the public. They don't want your help anymore. That's what it's getting to. We heard the defund the police. You hear me telling you now, and for a long time I've been telling you, it's your obligation to enforce the law. Therefore, you have to know the law. If you don't know the law and the police pull you over and throw you in jail for a traffic offense, it's only because you don't know the law.
I agree, but you also have to tread lightly when you're on the side of the road. You know, if you don't know your shit, then I would recommend that you do follow them lawful orders so you don't get drug out of the car, you don't get beat to death, and then be charged with a million things that you didn't do, you know, because they know you didn't do it. But
right.
That's not the point. They're going to ring you through the ringer, and then you're going
right.
to attorney. You don't have enough money to see it through, then you're going to wind up taking a plea deal.
Yeah, see, there's levels to it, folks. And like I said, you got to start learning. When you start learning, you can start putting some of this stuff off of you and putting the obligation in the right place. The more you learn, the more you'll do. The more you do, the more you'll be free. And then one day you will be able to shed them off.
You know what I like to remind them of? That I'm the civil authority and that they serve me. They're in service to me because I am the civil authority. And once you've established that and you put those credentials in place, you know, and you know how, for example, I learned this in the state that I'm in, that the failure to identify law. Well, once you realize that law also applies to them, not just to you. And the Supreme Court has ruled that 2 out of the 3 identifying elements must be given. Well, they are required to give the same elements when you put the spot. So, you know, when they come up to the car, it's always a script, license and insurance. You answer a question by asking the question. And you say, well, is your body cam on? When the little red light is on, that means it's recording. They say yes. You say, thank you. Can you please state your name, rank, and badge number for the record? Because they're required to give 2 out of the 3 identifying elements also. They usually won't say their name, okay, because it's on their, uniform, but they'll say their rank and badge number. Then you thank them and you look right in the body cam and you say, thank you, Sergeant, or whatever their rank is. And then you say their last name and their badge number. And you say, I accept your oath for office today for honor. And I bind you to it in the spirit of, or actually you say, I bind you to your bond and I, in the spirit of reciprocity. And then you surrender your security to them in trust. Right there on the side of the road, just appointed trustee. They're no longer acting in an executive capacity. It's a trust relationship that's just been expressed through your security interests. And it's on their body cam. You could use tech on that.
Yeah, and that's an express trust. In other words, it's given orally or verbally, actually, is what the term would be, verbally, because it's going to enact something like Congress likes to do, enactments. And so we're not going to put people in their correct roles to then play out for the proper obligation to be forwarded to the obligee. Absolutely. The next one is caught on camera. Armed citizen stops Walmart mass stabbing of 11 people. So when it comes to your Second Amendment, and I don't know why it took 11 people, seems like kind of outrageous, even with a knife. I mean, I'm one of those guys that you can catch me without my shovel. But if you're sitting there stabbing someone, I don't care who you are. I know in my heart's heart, the deepest place there is, that is against the law. And I cannot allow it to happen before my eyes. I have to stand up and do something about it. I don't care if it's to find a shovel or go directly into the fight and try to get that knife away from you due to my own death even. These officers won't do that. They have a protocol. They have to go home at all costs.
You know that the Supreme Court has ruled that they have no obligation to protect the individual, just the what's in the best interest of the public. So when they
Correct.
say that in the public constructive trust, so they don't have no obligation to protect you when you call them out. Just like the Supreme Court has also ruled that they don't have, they have the right to pull you over within reason. And that's pretty much all it says, within reason. It doesn't go into any further detail. So who's
Right.
reason?
Yeah,
Reason
exactly. Yeah, what reason can they pull you over for then? It's ambiguous. It says within reason. Well, goodness gracious, there was a squirrel crossing the road and I didn't want you to hit him, so I pulled you over.
Well, you know, that presumption.
Crying out loud, don't get caught in a crossfire with an acorn, right, brother?
Right.
Okay. So what's within reason?
Whatever reason they come up with.
Like an acorn. Like an acorn.
Like an acorn. And if there's not,
okay.
They it up, because guess what? It's not against the law to lie. Only under penalty of perjury. So they lie all day long. It's their second nature. It's part of the job.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about lying with these officers. See, there's supposedly a Supreme Court case says they can lie, right? But yet there's a Brady list. It says if they lie, they get put on the Brady list and they can no longer testify on the stand. It doesn't say they can't get rehired. It says they can no longer testify on the stand. So police departments will rehire them and let them keep doing it. And people don't understand that most of those officers can't testify on the stand. Fucking pathetic.
And then they don't show up to court, and then you might get off as a result of that. But it doesn't matter. You still had to go through the ringer. You still had to go to jail. You still had to pay to get out.
Well, no, there's many times where people go to court. These traffic citations are filled. The whole courtroom is full. Where are the officers that pulled them over? If all the officers showed up for that traffic court, they wouldn't be able to be pulling people over during their shift. They'd always be in court for the ones that they already previously pulled over.
Yep, I agree.
With a breaking news alert.
10 breaking news out of Traverse City. A stabbing spree at a Walmart, leaving 11 people injured.
So apparently, America just got its own episode of the Purge Knife Edition right inside a Walmart. Yeah, you heard that right. A man with a folding knife went full Michael Myers in Traverse City, Michigan, stabbing not one, not two, but 11 people in a Walmart before someone finally said, nah, not today, and stopped him the only way you stop a psychopath with a knife, with a gun. But you wouldn't know that if you watch most of the news coverage. They're allergic to saying the word gun unless it's in the same sentence as bam. Let's roll news footage and then I'll tell you what really happened.
As I mentioned, 11 people currently being treated. 6 of the victims are men, 5 women, at least 3.
Yeah, see, that's one of the things we got to pay attention to is the rhetoric. Come on.
You know, that's pretty sad because there's a lot of weapons in the grocery store. There's bottles everywhere. There's jelly. There's all kinds of things you can pick up and throw or bust over somebody's head. So, you know, him being able to stab 11 people before someone actually intervened is pretty sad. Because if you'd have got anywhere with me with that knife, I would have been looking for the nearest weapon. And I would have been trying to break
I got a Mazzotto knife. And what followed was an absolute...
Yeah, my computer's giving me issues again. Damn it. What the hell?
Right now with a breaking news alert.
10 breaking news out of Traverse City, a stabbing spree at a Walmart leaving 11 people injured.
So apparently that's banned. Let's roll the news footage and then I'll tell you what really happened.
As I mentioned, 11 people currently being treated. 6 of the victims are men, 5 women. At least 3 had to have surgery tonight. Police have identified the suspect as a 42-year-old man. We're also learning he used a folding knife in this attack. A motive still unclear. Now, as you can imagine, frightening moments for both shoppers and workers inside that Walmart. I spoke to one employee over the phone tonight who told me she and others were running for their lives.
I heard just people crying and calling their family like their loved ones.
20-year-old Walmart employee Anna Luke says it was chaos all around Saturday evening. She was inside the Traverse City location when a 42-year-old male suspect began stabbing people inside the store. Police arrived in minutes to a horrifying scene. A Good Samaritan is believed to have helped with the apprehension of the suspect. That suspect confirmed to be a Michigan resident.
Coming from Walmart, but stabbed in her right lower back area, and she's also pushed forward and hit her head. She's awake and talking to us. I just ran. I ran.
Meanwhile, as Anna, who has only been on the job for 2 weeks, and all the other employees ran for their lives, they're not sure how to move forward. All employees were sent home after the incident.
So it all went down at 5 p.m. inside of a Traverse City Walmart. That's about 250 miles northwest of Detroit, when a 42-year-old man walked in and started randomly stabbing shoppers with a folding knife. 11 people.
See, that wasn't a gun, folks. When are people going to stop being so fucking scared of a fucking 3-inch blade? I know it's dangerous. But how many people were against one man with a knife? How many people do you think it takes to screw in a fucking light bulb? When are the people going to stop being so fucking scared? Learn how to stand up for each other instead of run in groups off of a fucking cliff. You know, that's what they used to do to buffalo. A lot easier to hunt buffalo when you can scare the shit out of them, just run them off a cliff.
Were injured, 6 were listed as critical, 5 in serious condition. And this wasn't targeted. According to Grand Traverse County Sheriff Michael Shea, it was completely random.
The Grand Traverse County Sheriff Michael Shea said in a press conference that this did appear to be a random attack and would not comment on the mental condition of the suspect, who is in custody.
Based on the information that we have at this time, it appears there were random acts, that there was no, the victims were not predetermined.
It started near the checkout counter. Witnesses said the entire store erupted in panic. One Walmart employee said, there was a guy with a knife. He stabbed 6 people. I saw someone stabbed in the eye. Another said, all I see is a lady covering her mouth because there was blood on it. Here's the part the media seems terrified to admit. The knife-wielding monster was ultimately taken down by a pair of brave shoppers, including one who was armed, before authorities arrived and took him into custody.
See, what he's pointing out is the news articles never pointed out the heroic private man with a gun that actually took him down. They did say that one of the shoppers helped support the police in taking him down. Do you remember that? Blatant lie. The police aren't even around.
Hey, you have to drop it. Put it down.
The police aren't even there yet. So how did he help the police? See, they try to make the police the hero in every situation. They try to make it seem that there's always guns. They always make it seem it's the most dangerous situation to be a police officer. It's a dangerous job. Number 20 on the dangerous jobs list. Fucking pathetic. Cowards.
That's right. An armed citizen, a good guy with a gun, stopped the stabbing. Not a cop, not a mall security, not a guy with pepper spray and good intentions. A regular American with a firearm who stepped up, who drew down, and didn't need a permit to be a hero. I'm sure the people in the UK are watching this like, welcome to the club, America. We've been dealing with mass stabbings for years. Yeah, well, we've got something the UK doesn't. It's called guns. So a mass stabber here only gets so far before someone puts a red dot on his chest and gives him a choice, stop or drop. And that's exactly what happened in this case. But if you're watching the news, you think this dude just tripped over his own knife and had a sudden change of heart. Most outlets conveniently skip over the part where the Good Samaritan was armed. They'll say things like the suspect was apprehended with help from a bystander or bystanders, like the dude just politely asked him to stop. No, there's video, there's proof. And still, even the report I just played didn't mention the gun. Why? Because in a country with over 400 million guns and a constitution that explicitly protects the right to carry them, our media treats armed citizens like a damn urban legend or like lepers. It took cops.
And so it's the cops that need the guns to save all the people fleeing from all the people that have guns. False projections, fear-mongering bullshit, so they can play the hero when they're the fucking villain.
3 minutes to get there, and 3 minutes is a good response time. But in those 3 minutes, this man stabbed 11 people. So I ask again, what would happen if that armed civilian wasn't there? And more importantly, why is it so damn hard for our media to just say the words? An armed citizen stopped a mass stabbing. That's not controversial. That's facts. I'll be the first to admit, a gun in the wrong hands can do a lot of damage fast. But if you think you can't enact mass carnage with a knife, you've been watching too much TV and not enough real-life surveillance footage. Knives scare me more in some ways because they're silent, like literally silent. You could have someone stabbing people in the crowd and no one even realize what's happening until blood hits the floor. You watch these stabbing videos and half the time you can't even tell who has the knife and when the actual stabbing happened. It's that subtle and that terrifying. So when I say this guy could have killed every single one of those 11 people before the cops showed up, I'm not exaggerating. The only reason he couldn't is because of the person the media doesn't want to talk about, the man with the gun. Now, here's the next question. Is Walmart gonna ban knives now? Because you already banned the sale of guns in Walmart, and then you decided to, after some random Yahoo walked into Walmart in El Paso with an AK and shot a bunch of people, then you decided to stop selling handgun and short barrel rifle ammo. Let me remind you from the Walmart statement back then.
Change in gun policy at Walmart. The retail giant says it will discontinue the sale of ammunition for handguns and short barrel rifles. Walmart will also publicly request that customers do not openly carry firearms in its stores, even where state laws allow it.
Fine.
Even where state laws allow it. Sorry, pal, I don't give a fuck about your request. See, that's all it is a request. The Second Amendment shall not be infringed. Shall not be infringed.
Optics, PR damage control, whatever. But now we've got a mass stabbing at a Walmart with 11 victims. And what's the weapon of choice? A folding knife. So what now, Walmart? You pulling kitchen knives, steak knives, box cutters? Should we start background checks for butter knives? Because if the logic is ban the tool used in the tragedy, then congratulations, you are now in the cutlery control business. But here's the truth. If you heard me say that and ask that question about banning knives and you thought, huh, how ridiculous, and you scoffed at the idea, you're making my point. It's not about the tool. It never was. It's about the intent. Guns, knives, cars, bricks. Evil doesn't care what it uses. You can strip the shells bare, but you won't strip the sickness out of someone's soul. And also, shells bare, but you won't strip the sickness out of someone's soul. It uses. You can strip the shells bare, but you won't strip the sickness out of someone's soul. It uses. You can strip the shells bare, but you won't strip the sickness out of someone's soul. And also, let's not overlook this. That armed citizen showed restraint. He had every right to shoot that man. 11 people stabbed. That meets any reasonable definition of an active threat, but he didn't. He held them. He waited. He let the cops do their job. That's discipline. That's training. That's what responsible gun ownership looks like. But the media, the anti-gun politicians, the every town talking heads, they won't count this. They won't add it to the stats of defensive gun use because this doesn't fit their narrative. But it happened.
Interesting how a private man without a uniform and a badge could use reason and logic as to the effect of that force of the gun versus that knife and just held the man at bay. Didn't have to fucking murder him. Amazing.
And it saved lives. And if you're watching this and you carry, let me hit you with some truth. Just because your self-defense was legal doesn't mean you're not going to jail or worse, going bankrupt defending yourself. That's where USCCA comes in. The USCCA gives law-abiding gun owners the legal.
What do you think, Jesse?
Sorry, brother. I was talking to my friend. I didn't get to catch what was being said.
Well, when it comes to these incidences being reported with the hero private man with the gun, saving people from being stabbed anymore, and they placate without the gun even being mentioned that the hero of the day wasn't actually the hero. He just assisted the police, who are always going to be the hero, and we need to get rid of these guns. Fucking insane, isn't it?
Oh, wow.
What they say they're going to charge him for fucking shooting that guy?
No, they're just saying that he wasn't the hero of the day, that the police were, and that he just assisted them. So the police are taking all the glory for something that they didn't do, because the police always come after a crime has been committed. They're not usually there to prevent it. That's not
right. And the media doesn't want the news getting out that the people, the private people that have guns, can do a way better job of law enforcement without the police than the police do. With all the supposed authority they have, a single private man with a gun stopped the situation and let other people take control of the man. He did not have to fire his weapon. He just used it as a mechanism of manipulation to get the man to understand that if he was going to keep going, he was going to have to shoot him.
Well, you already stabbed 11 people. You're getting shot.
Yeah, I'd have shot him.
Well, yeah, see, that's the thing. That's the mentality of the police. What I'm trying to point out is that the promise of righteous people doing righteous things puts this man in a court of the public eye. He doesn't just shoot him. He puts a scarlet letter on him so the public knows. And every neighbor is a hero. Everyone walking around with a gun enforcing their Second Amendment is a hero. See, I don't know why we needed to fund a police department if we just enforce our First and Second Amendment rights. But of course, there's that old adage again that the law is made for the lawless. Those that would carry weapons will carry weapons despite any piece of paper. And those weapons will be used for righteous reasons, despite any piece of paper. Just like those that refuse to acknowledge any piece of paper and will carry weapons for unrighteous reasons, despite any piece of paper. It works both ways. And the way to balance that scale is understanding that scale. Putting the weapons in the arms of the police, who is the biggest gang, is nothing but weighing the scale totally left.
Well, you know who the real sovereign citizens are, right?
Yeah, the servant leaders.
That's right.
So, the insanity exists in all people everywhere. So I've got a clip here of the stupidity that people will go through, claiming that they know what they're doing.
Like, I don't claim to be like a fucking genius, but like, dude, I'm low key.
Wow.
You get this car up in the air, you want to grab yourself a hammer?
In case you're questioning my judgment in buying this instrument, this fine instrument made in America, it does have
He's literally standing under the tree, the direction it's going to fall. The only thing that'll save him is that tree next to it because it's going to fall into it, and there it goes. Holy shit.
Okay. Make sure it's on low.
So the stupidity of people is abundant. Just because you wear a fucking clown suit and a badge doesn't make you any special. So when you go around professing that you know this and you know that, you're a marriage counselor, you're a family counselor, you're a psychologist and psychiatrist, you're a firefighter and a first responder, but the only thing you know is some kind of 6-month training policy for military tactics. Yeah, I don't think so.
Well,
I don't think so.
Didn't Marilyn Manson say it the best one in his silly song called "We're All Stars in the Dope Show"?
So the next one I got is the very question.
Mr. McDermott, should law enforcement officers be allowed to carry a firearm in gun-free school zones or on public transportation?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Police officers should. But a righteous man enforcing his Second Amendment, who can save lives if he's on the spot, before the police arrive. See, the police will only carry guns on school grounds, if they get called to the school.
And would you?
I'm sorry. I was just gonna further along those lines.
I'm going to get back to that in a second.
Go ahead.
There's two questions I really want to get here. Okay, yeah, Ms. Mueller. Okay, would you have liked the option to purchase your service weapon? Right, when you retired as a police officer.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Mr. McDermott, I saw you writing furiously when my colleague from California was iterating various shootings, and I wondered what in the devil were you writing, and what would be your response?
All right. Loaded question, no pun intended, but I just, when Mr. Swallow was indicating, kept on asking, was it self-defense here? Was it self-defense here? Was it self-defense here? It just kept hitting me a particular way. If there had been some form of self-defense, if somebody had been able to defend themselves in those particular areas, if somebody had actually done so, we wouldn't have been naming off these higher numbers. Instead, as to Ms. Muller's point, and what I stand by myself, is we have all these different gun-free zones, which is basically a fallacy. They do nothing to make our communities safer. They basically leave the good defenseless against criminals, law-abiding citizens defenseless against criminals, and they take advantage of it. They take full advantage of it.
And that is absolutely true. I believe it to be, in my strongest opinion, absolutely true. How can you expect that if a criminal wants to go in to a school and start shooting people, how can you convince people, as they have, unless those people are totally fucking stupid, that it's okay to make gun-free zones? How fucking stupid are you if you support the Second Amendment and think that your child is safe in a gun-free zone? And that if your child is attacked and you want to protect him, you can't carry a gun in a gun school zone, but the police can. You silly motherfuckers. You bitch ass slaves. And here we got one, not of the police, but of people that will help cover up for the police and other people that they work with. You know, those other servant leaders that want to have authority over you. And when you file a Freedom of Information Act request, they start deleting files.
An elected official is accused of deleting government emails and grand jury indicted the
Knew it.
Cobb County Superior Court clerk this morning. We broke this story on WSBTV.com and Channel 2 Action News at noon. Channel 2 Cobb County Bureau Chief Michelle Newell is live at the courthouse. Michelle, you've been working to reach the clerk all day.
And Karen, I also tried to contact her attorney. I was able to get in touch with a representative from the clerk's office, and this is the indictment that was brought down this morning. We're told the GBI is the lead on this investigation. Connie Taylor has served Cobb County as an elected official since 2020. State your name. Connie Taylor. Taylor is now accused of violating the oath she took as the Cobb County Superior Court clerk.
The indictment charges Connie Taylor with the offense of destruction of public records. Count 3 is violation of oath of office. Count 4 is violation of oath of office.
The Georgia Attorney General filed those charges after a GBI investigation into what Taylor allegedly did in response to an open records request in 2022. In this 5-page indictment, Taylor is accused of ordering an employee to delete a folder that obtained records fees from passport services. She's accused of telling the same employee to delete an email related to passport revenue. I stopped by Taylor's office to get her response. The chief deputy clerk
Seems like she might have something against immigration policies and such, or certain persons and their immigration abilities. Come on.
She couldn't use her old tactic where if it was the general public coming after them, they would say something like, well, it's an ongoing investigation and we can't release that information right now. So she had no way to get out other than to destroy that file.
Yep. Let's see if we do this.
I just got a little slap on the wrist after it was all said and done.
Watch what salt do to your dogs.
Elected official is accused of deleting government emails and financial records.
Connie Taylor has served Cobb County as an elected official since 2020.
State your name. Connie Taylor.
Taylor is now accused of violating the oath she took as the Cobb County Superior Court clerk.
The indictment charges Connie Taylor with the offense of destruction of public records. Count 3 is violation of oath of office. Count 4 is violation of oath of office.
The Georgia Attorney General filed those charges after a GBI investigation into what Taylor allegedly did in response to an open records request in 2022. In this 5-page indictment, Taylor is accused of ordering an employee to delete a folder that obtained records fees from passport services. She's accused of telling the same employee to delete an email related to passport revenue. I stopped by Taylor's office to get her response. The chief deputy clerk met me instead. Where is Connie Taylor now?
She's unavailable.
Okay. How can we get in touch with her?
I don't have that information now. I can give it to you shortly.
And she's still working here?
Absolutely. No impact to our office. We're open in normal business hours.
No impact to her office. She's still working there, and we're still running business as usual. Wonderful to hear, isn't it? I mean, the very public record that is supposed to have integrity is found to be not integrity, or not to have integrity, because it's being destroyed by the one that's supposed to hold integrity to it. And instead of dismissing her immediately, she's still there running business as usual.
Cobb County judges and the district attorney have recused themselves from this case. Now, earlier this year, Taylor agreed to pay more than $80,000.
Meanwhile, the judges have recused themselves. Interesting play on authority, don't you think, guys? Do you suppose maybe she's deleting other accounts while she's still working there?
$1,000 in passport shipping fees that she collected during her first 2 years in office. Reporting live from Cobb County, Michelle Newell, Channel 2 Action News.
Interesting.
What is your podcast about? What do you deal with?
Interesting, huh? So the last one I've got, disturbing case. Very disturbing case. As I mentioned, if you have a child in a school-free zone and you're a Second Amendment kind of guy, what do you do? What do you do if you can respond faster? Or heavens forbid, you've got your gun, weapon, whatever you want to fucking call it in your glove box as you drop your child off for school. And you see a shooter blatantly walking down the sidewalk with a gun, aiming it and firing. What do? Do you say, oh goodness, I can't pull out my gun because I'm in a school, a gun-free zone?
Just for views. This is the first time I've ever done a video like this to kind of raise awareness, but I saw it this morning on Facebook and I was going to do a different video or post a different one today, but I had to show y'all this. For those of you who haven't seen this guy from Arkansas, we're not talking about New York, California, Arkansas, was arrested for a man that he found in a car with his missing 14-year-old daughter. Essentially, a year prior to this, when she was 13 years old, this guy groomed her through text, And she ended up coming, forward to her parents and saying he had raped her, several times. The cops arrested this guy, and literally let him out of jail with little to no bail. Not long after that, family is awakened by their dog barking. They get up, and their daughter's missing from the house. So, long story short, the dad of his daughter goes out, finds this man that's kidnapped his daughter and sexually assaulted her, and kills him. And the same Justice Department there in Arkansas charged this guy with murder and didn't allow him to bond or anything else. They allowed this to bail out and then go back out here and do the same thing to the same victim. No telling who else he got while he was out. And then they're crucifying the father for protecting his daughter. I'm telling you right now, let this video be evidence. I'm having a little girl. My wife is going to have our little girl in October. It wouldn't matter if it was my little girl, my son. I'll be dang if another man comes and takes my daughter or my child, and I call the cops and they arrest him, and then he gets released on bail and comes back and does the same thing. And you don't think I wouldn't go out there and do the same thing? Who in their right mind, what kind of father wouldn't do what this man did? This man should be given an award for his actions, for getting this guy off the street. And that little girl's going to deal with this trauma for the whole family, but that little girl's going to deal with this trauma for the rest of her life. And the justice system's like, no, sir, you shouldn't have done that. He was wrong for what he did, but we're okay with letting him out for a while and kind of getting his affairs in order or his assaults in order. But daddy, no, shouldn't have done that.
It's a sad state of affairs, people. A sad, sad state of affairs. The insanity is running rampant right before our eyes, and nobody's standing up to do a goddamn thing about it. And those that do, they're getting thrown in jail. If you don't see this insanity, then you're part of the insanity. You're one of those bitch-ass slaves in cognitive dissonance, willing to sit by in comfort and convenience as they slowly tattoo numbers all over you and your children, thinking it's okay. They're only doing it to protect us. You're nothing better than Hitler's willing executioners. You're the ones allowing it to happen. And if you don't like what I have to say, remember, it's just my opinion. And I drop a link so you can come up and join me and discuss it. But I think what I'm putting out here is pretty true and accurate. It's time to stop in your own idiocy and complacency and belief. Because I tell people all the time, don't believe me, don't believe the neighbor, don't believe the government. For crying out loud, don't even believe your own mother. Do your own research so you know. Because once you know, you won't turn back. You will stop allowing this bullshit to happen because you see how it directly affects you. We keep allowing them to lock up the good people and let the insane people run free. Because we keep giving them authority to do so when it's our obligation. You want to protect your children, then you protect your children. Quit putting your faith and trust into a false patriarch that promises protection. Doesn't provide the protection, but is willing to provide you with everything else. See, this government isn't supposed to provide. It's supposed to protect. And just like the modern men, like I call most of you, beta corporate cucks, bitch-ass slaves, You're supposed to protect. But you're out there chasing a bag, thinking that your protection is by provision. No. That's by your own sweat equity, both you and your woman. Tendering Mother Earth and not tendering payment to a false patriarch. So you've become deluded in this programming. You believe you're doing right, but you're not. You're lying consistently. Every time you write down on a piece of paper that you're a resident. Oh, I'm a United States citizen. Really? You're a United States citizen. Well, what's your EIN? Well, the EIN is this. Well, what's the business name? And that's you? Footlong Hot Dogs is you? No, that's my business. Oh, so it's the business that has the EIN. So you're not the business, are you? See, you're not a United States citizen, as that is a United States business. And unless you're running that United States business as a United States citizen with its social security number as a member resident, federal, state, or municipal officer or agent, then you're not a resident. See, if you haven't taken that oath of office to be that federal, state, or municipal officer or a licensed agent of such an oath taker, and then you ain't a resident. And yet here everybody's holding that state ID saying they're a resident, or state driver's license saying they're a resident. Funny shit. Bitch ass slaves.
Hey, you want to hear something funny? The other day, it just dawned on me, which touches on everything that you were saying there, that we're not really in a patriarchal system. We're really in a matriarchal system that uses the patriarch to enforce its will, because the women create the trust and the men never come forward. Okay. And
What do you think welfare is?
So,
farewell.
It's posing as a patriarch, but it's really still under the matriarch. And that's why you see why, when you go to family court, these courts, they favor the women because they already have the power of attorney. Okay. And the man hasn't done his equitable duty to claim his offspring. So it's been abandoned. So it always goes back to the matriarchal side, because in the chain of title of which they've created, which is child, then the woman, and then the man, when it's supposed to be man, woman, child. They've reversed the order of operations.
Yeah, and it's okay. It's like the oven taking credit for the bread that's baked by the chef. Okay. The chef is the one that put that fucking bread in the oven, right? But the oven's the one that's going to take credit for it. It's all backwards, ladies. And again, you can call me the misogynist if you want, but you ain't got no seed and nothing to have welfare on unless it were for the men. And you're abusing the men, claiming this false patriarch's going to protect and provide for you. And then you do. And you raise your children up in the same world of letting a false patriarch provide for you, instead of bringing your children up in the ways of the Lord and taking upon the provisions that are already there in prosperity and abundance, and going forth, replenishing the earth of those provisions by learning and observing how they come to you so you can put them back out. So you can plant the seed. Men, set thine house in order. You have to plant the seed. The woman doesn't plant the seed, does she? She's the oven. And again, call me a misogynist all you want. But I don't see women out there building bridges, highways, inventing automobiles, See, the women are the ones that want the comfort and convenience at home and the popularity of going out on the town. When it's the men that go out on the town for protection and replenishing and prosperity, building the estate. And all you women that think you deserve a part of the estate, I urge you to learn Isaiah 54. Because in a righteous mind, no righteous man will stand up for some fucking whore unless she has learned her lesson. You want to keep going out there and being a whore? You ain't going to get a good man. You're going to keep going out there and playing this popularity contest? You ain't going to be more popular than the man. Because as soon as you think the man goes down, what do you think society will subsist on, all you ladies? You think you're going to be able to maintain the society that men built for your comfort and convenience? So they keep you out of their hair while they build? And I'm not saying all women are like this. There are many great women that can build. And those are the ones that should get with men that can build. And build the proper temples. Paying tribute to the false, or to the proper patriarch instead of the false one that would have you believe in these skyscrapers. Those are all the beta cut corporate males that voted in Amendment 19 because they wanted nice looking ladies sitting in the desk across from them, taking their dictation and wearing short skirts, allowing women to come out of the long dresses and baring their knees and ankles. Because that's what those kind of men like. They like the sluts, the whores. They got a good, faithful wife at home. That's why the family unit's falling apart. Men, it's your responsibility first and foremost. And again, you can call me a misogynist all you want, ladies. But that's one responsibility I don't think you want. So listen up, gentlemen. You're the ones that need to learn to stand up and quit putting up with this horse shit. You need to grow up and mature. Learn that if you want a good life in your old age, you better learn how to find a good wife in your young years. Means you have to learn how to be a good man yourself. Brought up in the ways of the Lord, huh? Everybody wants to believe that they've been brought up in the ways of the Lord because they're Christian, but haven't studied the scriptures. And again, I've studied the scriptures more than most Christians, and I'm not a Christian. I was born and raised German Catholic. Went through foster homes, 15, 20 of them. All different kinds of religions, all Christian, of course, different sects, Presbyterian, Protestant, Methodist, you name it. Baptist, all of them. All kinds of them. But I'm not the Christian. I don't believe in all that divisional insights. I believe every man should learn how to interpret the truth. As that's what I believe is expressed in John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. There is nothing that is a lie that can stand. That's a delusion. And if it seemingly stands, it's only because you're the one that's been deluded. Your mind has been melted and you believe it in your cognitive dissonance, sitting in front of that boob tube, watching somebody else's comedic or dramatic or mysterious, murderous life because yours is so exciting. As you munch down the processed foods and drink the poisonous drinks, and then watch the heroes as you see the lights and sirens come up, and you look down the street And then they're arresting that criminal, Edward Hornsby. Yeah, the guy that mows his own lawn without a muffler. They're arresting that criminal finally. Next night, same thing. You're still eating your processed foods and drinking your poisonous drinks while watching that boob tube, and here come the lights and sirens. And you don't do anything about it. Fucking pathetic. When do you think they're going to come to your door? You think you're special? You think in this little popularity contest you're in over here is better than the popularity contest over here? All about the name and not the message, huh? When are you going to get the message, guys? Who's going to have to tell you the message in order for you? Do you have to have Jesus Christ to come in and tell you the message again? All you Christians? What do you got? I'm done here. Sorry about the rant.
No, you're all right. Just listening in. I'm taking care of business. What you going to?
Yep. Well, I'm going to give you a call tomorrow as to a certain order of things that we discussed in those documents. So,
all right. Well, I'm going to be going to the post office tomorrow to off some packages to finalize everything. So, anytime after 1 o'clock should be fine.
All right. We'll see you then. Anything on the way out, brother? Final words?
No, I just want to say I appreciate you. And I would appreciate it if you would kind of keep in mind to send me a link, because sometimes I forget that you have a show. So I always catch the tail end of it. And then I'm like, oh, because we're on the same time schedule, but I'm always in the middle of doing something. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I need to be reminded. So if you would just keep me in mind, I would appreciate that.
All right. Well, I will start sending you a link as a reminder then. As long as you keep showing up and discussing things with me. But like I say, people, I put that link down there so anybody can join. I really need some interaction here to help express it to everybody else. I don't want people seeing me as an insane one that's the only one that has this view. I need people that have these same views to step up and speak out. So I thank you for that, Jesse. And have a good night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Till then, everybody have a good night. See you later, Keith.
You bet. And you guys know me. I love you. I really do. But I don't give one rat's ass whether you love me back or not. That's to say, I don't care if you hate me. I don't care if you don't respect me. That's on you. So may your God bless you and love you, and we'll see you next time. Have a good night, everybody.